For much of the month of August, we're going to work our way through the 6th chapter of John's Gospel. Today, a question that the people ask Jesus stands out. It even makes me shake my head when I hear them ask the question. They say, "What sign are you going to give us, so that when we see this sign, we will then believe in you?" This question must have led Jesus probably to shake his head when he heard this question too. He probably was saying to himself, "Are you guys for real? Are you kidding me? You want a sign for me to show you that I am who I say that I am? Haven't I done enough to prove to you that I am who I say that I am? Why do you test me? Have you already forgotten everything that I've done for you?" Now, if you missed last week's Gospel, or maybe you haven't read chapter 6 of John's Gospel, it's important for you to know that just a few sentences earlier, Jesus performs many signs and miracles to prove to the crowds of people that he is who he says that he is. He is the Son of God, the Messiah, with the power of God. In this same chapter, just earlier, Jesus miraculously cures people. Jesus feeds a huge crowd of over 5,000 people with a measly few loaves and a couple fish. And if those signs didn't knock their socks off already and weren't sufficient to prove to them that he truly was the Son of God, leading them to belief in him, he then defies the laws of physics by walking on water on the Sea of Galilee. So imagine how he feels now after doing all this, that the next day people approach him and say, "Can you give us a sign just so that we're sure? Just so that we're sure that you are who you say that you are?" So you may be asking yourselves, "Father Matthew, how does this apply to my life today?" Well, maybe there have been times that you've questioned your faith. You've wondered. You've wanted a sign from God to prove that maybe Jesus is truly real. He's the Son of God. You wondered if he really did rise from the dead, if God really does hear our daily prayers, if God really does love us as much as we're told that God loves us. Maybe you've prayed the type of prayer in desperate need or times of difficulty, maybe bargaining with God. "God, if you're real, if you really have the power, you're going to show me. You're going to prove it to me now." Or, "If you really love me, like I heard you love me, help me out this one time." I'm sure you know those types of prayers. It's in those times where God may be saying to himself, maybe shaking his celestial head at the questions, saying, "Are you for real? Are you kidding me? You want me to show you a sign that I am who I say that I am? Haven't I done enough to prove to you that I am God? Why are you testing me again? Have you forgotten everything that I've done for you?" The lesson that I'd like you to pull from today's gospel, from today's celebration, is that God is alive and active in each one of our lives. God is alive and active in each one of our lives. We don't need to ask him for signs, for proof that he exists. These signs are all around us. These signs are all around us. We just need to take the time to notice them and to thank God for them. So today and this week, I'd like you to take some time. It's like a challenge. I'm going to give you homework. You're going to realize this about me. I don't want your faith experience to be 1 hour and done. The 1 hour of power and then 6.5 days of who knows what during the week. I want you to think of things or have homework and be thinking about the gospel. So today, I'm going to start off easy, I think. Just think of at least one sign where God has actively worked in your life, that he's shown his love for you. He's answered a prayer that you may have had. And you know what? That may be easy. It may be easy for some of you. Maybe the answer to your prayer is sitting right next to you in a child or a spouse or your job, whatever it may be, or a recovery from health. Some people, that exercise of thinking of what sign has God done for you in your life, it may be very easy. It may be just being here today, having faith, realizing how important that is in our lives. But for some people, this homework assignment may be a little bit more difficult. This may be a challenging time in your life. You may be struggling with your health, facing unemployment, struggling with a strained relationship. Maybe you've lost a loved one, or other reasons. But I challenge you to try to move past the pain, to move past any anger or grief or sorrow, to try and see how God is walking beside you even today, every single day. To see how maybe He's prepared you for this difficult time in your life, giving you strong relationships or friendships to support you, to encourage you through the challenges that you may be facing. This weekend's lesson is all about remembering God's many blessings in our lives, the miracles that God has worked, the big ones and the small ones alike. They're just as important. Often we can forget them. We take them for granted. But this weekend I want to challenge you to think about at least one tangible sign in your life that has showed you God's tremendous love for you, that He cares for you, and He's active in your life. Once you've identified this, I'm going to make it a little bit harder. It's not easy. I'm not going to make this too easy for you. We're going to grow in our faith. The second step, and this is the harder one, it's to share that with someone else. Oh, I see the look. What? I have to talk about my faith now to someone? This is going to be uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable. You make yourself vulnerable, but sharing our faith is so important. It's good for the person sharing, and it's excellent for the person who receives. It's inspiring to receive those things. That you trust them enough to share that with them, to talk about your faith publicly. It reminds both people that God is real, that God is active, and that God loves each one of us. Now, I'm not just going to talk the talk, I have to walk it. So if I challenge you, I better be ready to do it too. And I'm not just sharing it with one person, I'm going to share it with you today. So I've thought of one very recent sign that God has worked in my life, and I'm going to share it with you. Here goes. One of the greatest pains I've struggled with about becoming a priest was that I would not have children of my own. I deeply wanted to be a father, to raise and care for others in that most special way that only parents get to enjoy. I grieved that loss of parenthood, specifically of fatherhood, for the 6 years I studied in the seminary and the almost 5 years since then. As my friends got married and had children of their own, I felt that pain repeatedly every time I would visit or they would come and visit me. It reminded me of the sacrifice. I thought this would be a wound that I would carry my whole life long. I asked God in prayer repeatedly, almost every single day. I said, Lord, you're going to have to help me with this wound. You need to give me a sign that what I have done for you, if what I've said I want to do with my life, that it is the right thing, that it is an authentic call from you, and you need to help me with this. It wasn't until I got a call from Archbishop Prendergast on May 20th this year that he asked me to be the pastor of St. Isidore Parish. Everything inside me with that wound changed. For the first time, I felt like a father. I started to cry. I cried and I cried. The wound that I carried for the better part of 10 years had miraculously been healed. My prayers had been answered. And he replaced that wound with something very special, with a deep love. I started to love you. The people of St. Isidore, you didn't know me, I don't know you. I'd never met you. But I already loved you. It was an amazing miracle and a healing. And I couldn't wait to meet you. So this weekend, I feel like it's the very first time that I'm a father to many spiritual children. And for those past 11 weeks, I felt like an excited, anticipating, expectant father. So today, I'm very happy to meet you. I'm very happy to be home.